Well, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for stopping by. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and help you guys with the newest version of Eve that just came out today. So this is November 15th, it's Friday. I hopped on LinkedIn this morning and I saw a bunch of posts of both the community version and the pro version getting updated. Now, a couple of things about what's going on with this new version. I actually have the pro version, so I'll probably be upgrading both. But the thing that they've added to the community version that they didn't have previously is all of the templates and stuff like that that you would want to use on the pro version are now available in the community version, or at least that's what they've advertised it. So basically, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go and download the OVA from the Google Mirror. So I'm just going to hit the up arrow here, and it's going to say I can't scan it because it's too big. I'm going to say download anyway. And it's going to go ahead and download the file. It's about 1.3 gig. It's going to take a couple of minutes for it to download. So at this point, I'm going to pause the video, and then when the OVA is done, I'm then going to bring you guys back in and go from there. Okay, so I have the new Eve community OVA downloaded, and as you can see, I have it moved already to my storage appliance, and it's ready to go. I've got it ready to go inside of vSphere to deploy it, so I'm going to go ahead and click Next. I'm going to need this just Eve, and I'll say just Eve 1, and then Next, and I will choose where it'll get installed to, which is going to be my storage appliance, then provision it, and click Next, and finish it out. So now it's in the process of downloading. It's going to take a minute, obviously, for it to copy and to deploy. So once that's done, I'll go ahead and bring you guys back in. So we have Eve now deployed, and it's squared away right here. So we got that part done. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually minimize this so we have just the ES6 or vSphere pulled up. I'm going to click in here. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to do a couple of modifications to it. The first modification to it is I'm going to bump it up to 64 gigs of RAM because it's going to be the only VM that I'm going to run on this server, or at least more than likely. CPU wise, I'm going to bump it up to 8, and then I'm going to come down and add another hard drive because by default it only comes with a 40 gig hard drive, which is what vSphere is going to normally allocate for most VMs. So I need to add another hard disk so that I can expand both disks to become one larger one. So it basically creates a RAID 0 and stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure what it does on the back end. I just know it combines them two together. So you get two physical disks. Two physical disks make a single virtual disk. And we're going to come in here and say 100 gigs hard drive space. And we're going to thin provision that as well. So you only use it if you need it. And finish all the way through. Click OK. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to power it on, and I'm going to pull up the virtual machine console. Now, in my experience, this on some of the later versions of Eve, this usually takes a while. So don't be, thinking that it's going to take happen in, 5 seconds and you'll be booted. Normally, on the first launch, it takes a minute for it to load and do its thing. Once it's done, then you'll be able to log in and get everything squared away. So, and there we have it. So we are ready to go. So what I'm going to go do now is I have to pull up command prompt, and I'm going to ping an IP address of 10.255.1.101 to see if I can actually get so that IP address is free on my network. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop that. So that's the IP address I give to this particular node. So I'm going to type in root and Eve, and then now we're prompted to do the initial install. I'm going to type in Eve as the password, Eve again, and then the host name is fine. Domain name, don't care. I'm going to choose a static IP address, and the way that you do that is you bottom or down arrow to static, and then you spacebar to check it, and then it's static IP. Click OK. Now it says what IP is it. So I'm going to say Don't forget to click on your num block, and that's going to be 10.255.1.101. Okay, /24, so 255.255.255.0, and then 10.255.1.1. Obviously, your IP addressing scheme might not be that, so make sure that you use it accordingly. And then I'm going to use, I don't have any DNS servers rolled out or NTP, it's direct connection, so there we have it. So, and we are good to go. Now it's going to go through, write all those changes to memory, and we'll be in good shape. Give that a minute to do its thing, and hopefully I did everything correctly, and in a moment or so we should get a login screen with the new IP address assigned. This is actually moving a lot faster than I experience it, and it says no IP address needs 0. Okay, so I might have made a mistake doing something, so let me go through and root and eve if config. Yes, I did something wrong. So I will fix my error, and I will get back to you. Now, in the event that you run into problems and stuff like that, you need to fix things or what have you, there is a method to resolve these issues, and you'd have to go to the documentation and give it a minute to do this. And this might not be the actual location. They changed this up recently. I kind of like the new flow. Let's see. No, it's not here. I bet you it's in FAQ. It's one of those two. I can never remember which one it is. Oh, they've cleaned this up too. Let's see. I know what I'm looking for. I just don't know where it's at. Let's see. Okay, so it's not where I thought it would be. Oh, right here. No, it's right here. So basically the problem I'm having with this OVA right now is that there's no IP address, right? So it's not getting an IP. So what I need to do is I actually need to reset it so that it will go back through the initial setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in here, it's going to be the rm-f/opt/ovf.configured. It'll automatically add these commands in, and you hit the enter key, and then you reboot. You give that a minute or so to do its thing, and then you will be sent back through the initial setup wizard, which is nice. I've done this quite a few times when I go to set an IP address. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to do a continuous ping on that IP address. You guys can't see it, it's off screen, but as soon as I get everything squared away, I think I might have done something a little goofy, but so we're going to type in root and eve, and so now we're prompted to go back through the install again. So we're going to type in, the password is going to be eve, and then the host name is fine, the domain name is fine. We're going to choose a static IP again, bottom arrow down, spacebar to check static, click OK, and then it's going to be take the IP address for the it's going to be 10.255.1.101, and then the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. The gateway is 10.255.1.1, and I do not have a primary DNS server locally, so I'll just use Google, and OK, and no NTP server, direct connection to the internet, and that's it. Pretty straightforward setup. I think I know where I made my mistake. I probably hit the enter key by accident. So as soon as this is done applying its configs, I should get a response from the ping. So I'm keeping this live on purpose, in case you were there. Okay, the pings are starting to work now, so that's a good sign. So now I should have an IP address, and there it is. Perfect. So now if I want to go in here and manipulate anything, I can. At this point, I am done with the install. There's nothing more for me to do with the OVA directly through vSphere. Now it's going to be a matter of adding iOS images and things like that. And I'm going to show you how to do that real quick too. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up the new Eve platform and go from there. Okay, so we are here. I'm going to type in admin and Eve to log in, and that's going to bring me to this. Now this is what I'm expecting to see on this platform. I'm going to create a new lab called SP because I'm doing a lot of service provider. So I was going to do that. Now I'm brought to this position. So one of the things that they've added here is dark mode. So if I was to turn dark mode off, I actually have not seen. Let me turn this off. So that's going to affect. So then I'm going to click in here, click on dark mode, and that's what it does. So it's kind of cool. And then there's light mode. I prefer doing dark mode at the browser level. So we have that. Go ahead and refresh that. There we go. Now, a lot of people have complained, and I think it's when I see the video that I'm recording versus what I see in the screen, it looks a little goofy. So you have all this like grid pattern. There's a simple way of getting rid of that. If you go to custom shape and you click on save, and what I normally will do is I will drag this to be rather large, and that gets rid of your grid design. So I do that, and then I size it appropriately depending on what's going on. So next thing we have to do is we have to go to FileZilla, and I have to go through and add these devices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and as you can tell, I was doing a little bit of work on this previously. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say 101, and so basically I tell FileZilla, the client, to go to the IP address of 101 using the username of root, the password of Eve, and then the port of 22. I'm going to say quick connect. There it goes. It says, do you trust this key? Yes, I do. I'm able to log in. Now, what I need to do is don't click on the root here. Click on the question mark. That'll take you to the basically the not the root per se, but the root of the file structure. But don't go directly to root itself, okay? Because root is its own set of it's its like own username. So don't go to root. Go to the forward slash or the question mark. Then you're going to navigate down to OPT, and then you're going to go expand that out, and you're going to go to, bring this down just a little bit. You're going to go to Unit Lab, expand that out. Then you're going to go to Add-ons, expand that out, and then you're going to have your QEMU set up here. According to the post, all of this stuff is supposed to be optimized now, so I'm curious to check it out. So one of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a handful of nodes. The first thing I'm going to do is grab XR 6.1.3. I'm going to click in there twice to grab the directory name. I'm going to right click here, create directory, and enter it. Paste that name, enter, and then I'm going to drag the hda.qcow2 image over. I'm going to do the same thing for XR v9k. And the reason why I'm adding the latest and greatest versions of these versions of code is because for the Service Provider version 5 lab exam, that's the versions of code they're going to be testing on. So I'm just going to drag over everything that I need. It's going to take some time for it to upload. I'm in no hurry. And then I'm going to scroll up here to the CSR 1000V. I'm going to grab the this version right here. Grab it, create another folder. Then I'm going to drag, that's almost a 2 gig file. These are going to take some time to copy, that's okay. And then I'm going to grab the 16.6, which is right here, because that's the lowest version of code that they're going to test you on in the V5 exam. I'm going to grab this, create another directory, enter it, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab this vert IOA QCOW2 and copy it over as well. So I have several in waiting. Then I'm going to come down here to the iOS images, click on it, and I'm going to go ahead and add that as well. And then I'm going to copy it, and then the layer 2 image as well. That should be pretty much everything that I would need to have on this particular server to run it the way that I need it to. And go ahead and copy that now. So now it's just a waiting game. I have multiple transfers in progress. I have a couple that are queued, and it's going to take a while for this to happen. I'm guessing within about 10 minutes or so. But that's really it. And if we click off of here and we right click inside of here and go to node, a lot of the file structure, the naming conventions have been upgraded to match that of Eve Pro, the current iteration. So I do plan on having downloading a lot of these versions of code and playing with them. There's a lot of stuff in here that I'd like to mess with and stuff like that. They've actually added all the Viptela images, which is nice. That's something that I've been waiting for a long time. And they've added support for Versa and VeloCloud, as well as Silver Peak for support. I don't see Silver Peak jumping out at me, but I know they added Versa networks and VeloCloud for SD-WAN. So they have a lot of support in here. This is one of the reasons why I run it, because it provides that capability. So there's a lot of support in here that I think is really, really cool. And as you guys are going through your preparation of different technologies and stuff like that, this is a really good base way to go play with it. So I'm going to leave this as is for the time being, because right now I'm waiting on a bunch of uploads to finish. They're going to take some time to do their thing. And once they are done, then I will be ready to go ahead and start rolling out devices. One thing that I could also do here, I don't plan on doing this on this particular Eve instance. I'm planning on running this new Eve instance on another server that I have, and I'll be uploading these images right here to Eve to play with them and learn SD-WAN. So, but that's pretty much everything you needed to know about getting all this stuff up and running. We do have some nodes in here we can play with, so I'll go to node, and for example, I know XRV should be up here now, and you can see that it says XR 1.3, and let's say I want to grab out 3 nodes. Well, let's say 4, just because I'm feeling froggy. I come down here, I give it 8 interfaces. I always usually double the amount of interfaces because you can never have too many, and I'm going to click on save. So then it brings out that. Is the XR... So right now it's uploading the 9K and the CSR 1000V for, and that one's almost done. So I'll wait the moment or so for the XR 9K. So now it's uploading both CSRs. Perfect. So then I can come in here and I can go node, and then I can add in the XR 9K. Normally you can run these pretty lean. So I'll pull out 2 of these guys because they are really resource intensive. Now it says 4 CPUs and 16 gigs of RAM. I have found that you can run these on one CPU and it does launch. It just takes a while to come up. I'm in no hurry. And then bump this up to 10 Ethernet interfaces and you're in really good shape. And then I click on save. And the reason why I have a pretty lightweight deployment of these guys is because the fact that these particular XR instances, they will allow me to do advanced segment routing, and that's exactly what I'm looking to do. So let's see, are we nearly done with 3.17? We still have some time before that one's done. So once these are deployed, then it'll be a matter of pulling out these other instances and getting them up and running. But normally what I normally do is I fill out a topology. What I'm going to probably end up doing is continue to do a defined topology, because everything's physically wired, so kind of like a GNS3 feel to it. And what I'll end up doing is I'll wire them together. So an example topology might look like I have XR5 as a provider core router, and then I have XR9K6 as a PE router, and then I set these guys up like this, so that there is a there's a all the connectivity is squared away. So I do something like that to where I can do traffic engineering and things like that. And then what I'll add is when the CSRs are done, I'll add. Actually, I probably could add them now. Let me go ahead and just do that. I know they're not ready to upload or to power on because the images aren't there yet, but I'll try it anyway. Actually, you know what? I'll wait a minute. I'll pause the video. All right, so I went ahead and waited for the OS to upload. So let's go ahead back to Node and grab 3.7 or 3. Yeah, this version, and then we're gonna grab I'll say 5 nodes, maybe 6. What do we have here? So I'm looking at PE routers. So 2 to fill out those edges, and then we'll say 4. We don't need to go crazy. So 1, 2, 4. No, I'm gonna go with 6. The reason I'm gonna go with 6 is because the fact that I'm gonna want to do a layer 2 VPN with more than 2 nodes. So we'll have that, and I'll add 8 interfaces. Enter key. That'll apply that. And so what I'll do is I'll have a CSR sit here, a CSR sit here, and then I'll have these 2 sit here in the middle to be basically core routers, something like this. And then I'll do 11 and 12, something like that. Now, one thing that I typically like to do when I'm laying this out is I like to go, okay, I'm going to have to do intra-AS services for VPNs and a whole bunch of other variations of things. I'm also going to need to do inter-AS, so, or a unified MPLS and all that type of stuff. So will this amount of routers be sufficient enough for me to do what I need to do? And that's usually the question that I have to answer. And in this particular case, it actually is not enough. So you might say, okay, what else would you need to add? Well, typically speaking, what I would normally add is normally 8 more routers. So this is sufficient enough to do pretty much everything that I might have to do. And so when I look at this from a unified MPLS perspective, the 3 routers here on the edge, on the left and the right, are going to be provider edge routers, and the 6 in the middle are going to be provider core routers. And for some reason, the server is giving me an issue, but it happens every once in a while. And normally, whenever there's high utilization and the connectivity goes down for a moment. But now, if I want to do the one thing that I've found is if I was to add 4 more XRV devices and 4 more CSR1000V devices. So something like, let me just double check to see if that is done uploading. So not quite, it's still got quite a bit more time to go. And let me go and, because I've got the 3.17 devices, those are laid out, but 16.6, I want to wait for those images to get uploaded. But I have XRV boxes. I'm going to pull out 4 more of these guys and 8 Ethernet ports. Normally I would do more than that. I normally would do 12. So two other service providers, each with 6 routers, and then that would give me 2 provider core routers, 2 ASBRs, and 2 PEs. Actually, let me go ahead and do that because that's normally what I go with, and it feels right. That's why I do that. And go ahead and click on save. And I normally do split it off 3 in each. So what I would do is I would have 1 sit here as an ASBR, have 1 sit down here as a P router, and then have 1 sit as a PE router. Same thing over here. I will do another ASBR. Well, actually, you know what? Let me swap out. You know what? As I'm thinking about this, I'm looking at this from the perspective of, am I making a correct decision on how that would play out? Let me check on this other upload. I have another minute or so. So what my thought process as I'm looking at this is carrier supporting carrier. I don't want to have 2 CSRs as my connections into the core carrier. I want to have at least one XR box as the carrier supporting carrier CESC PE. So in order to facilitate that, normally what I will do is I'll add another set of routers down here. One CSR, one XRV box. Excuse me. What that will basically allow me to do is test out customer carrier and core carrier with the XR boxes, which has its own unique set of issues. And actually, let me swap these around. I'm thinking about this as I'm talking, and I'm like, well, maybe I don't want to do it quite that way. And then I'll have these two as P routers in the core, and you'll see what I mean. So now the this router is good to go now. So I'm gonna add in one more here. So that's gonna be 1, 2, and I'll do 3 because these are usually pretty resource intensive. So I'll put in 3, and then the rest of them will be the older, the other CSRs. And that's basically how I'm going to go about doing that. Save. So I'll add this one here. This will be technically a carrier supporting carrier PE router. And then I'll have this guy sit here. And then I will bring this guy over to here. Now what I'll do is I'll have one more XR box sit, and I will actually, yeah, one more XR box sit here, and then that will be enough to get the job done. So I'll be able to test intra-AS VPN, inter-AS VPN, and I won't have to have 2 topologies. It'll be one big topology. I'll be able to test everything that I need to. It makes it very easy to work with. And then, let's see, what's my highest XR box? So I just laid out 21, so I'll make this XR22. Grab an XR box. I'll make this 22 and 8 ports. That guy will sit right here. And then I will put this guy here to be the CSC CE, and then I will put 1, 2, 3, 4 more CSRs out, the lighter weight ones. 4 here, 8 interfaces. So this guy will go here, this guy will go here, this guy will go here, and this guy will go here. Now I have everything laid out. And my methodology here is I need to have a way to test all these technologies out. Actually, I can move this guy to here. That's going to work. I'm just thinking if that would be a wise decision to do it this way. Or should I have this here, and then, because I'm thinking there will be an inter-AS option A, layer 2 VPN. I'll have to draw a connection between these two because XRs don't support it in the data plane. Yeah, that'll be fine. So let me go ahead and bring this down just a touch. And by having it set up this way, is it a big topology? Yes. There's no two ways about it. It is a very large topology. But as I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay, what other things could I throw at this? And at this point in time, there's not much more I can do. There are PE devices, so I need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 PE devices. So I'll grab 8 routers, and they're pretty lightweight. 8 routers and 4 Ethernet interfaces. I'll go to 6 here because you never know what you want to add later on count-wise. So what I'll do is I'll grab and I'll put 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and then 32 down here, and then 33 over here, and 34 over here. Now, normally what will end up happening is there will become a point in time, and actually let me go do this real quick while I'm thinking about it. Let me get this guy out of the way. I want to move these guys up slightly. Bump this up a little bit, and then I'm going to move this guy down here to here, and this guy down here to here. And what I'm going to do, actually, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. And I'll add a couple switches too. As I'm talking about this, I'm thinking. So I'll go add 4 switches as well. Now, this is pretty much the upper limit, and I won't run all of this at one time. I'll selectively turn things on and off. So let me add just one switch here and one switch over here. And the reason for the switch is it allows me to have a switch as a connection versus just a router terminating something. So I'll be able to test out layer 2 VPN and things like that as we're going along. That's the logic here. So is it a big topology? It absolutely is a big topology. But that's the whole point. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to whack these 4 switches, or these 2 switches here. Yes, I want to delete them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this guy back over here to this. And once you're squared away, then you can do this. Actually, I don't like it when it's the blue lines. So I'll go to there. So that gives me, it eliminates the grid pattern. But if I go full screen, normally that problem goes away. Pretty straightforward stuff. I might not even use the Eve topology to do this, to do whatever it is I'm looking to do. But you know, it is what it is. So because I can flip back and forth now pretty easily. I just don't like the F3 is also find. But that's an option for you guys. But normally if I'm going to be doing a demo, I'm going to be in full screen mode anyway. And when I look at the screen, I'm like, well, that just looks weird. So if I zoom out, or if I zoom in, it's okay. If I start zooming out, then it looks weird on my screen when I see it in OBS. So, but that's basically how that would work. So I'm going to go back to this screen. So now at this point, I've got everything laid out. So will I be testing everything at one point in time? No, I won't. It'll be a combination of things as I go forward. So, but I just wanted to show you my thought, how to load up the new Eve image, how to get it all loaded up, get the images in it, and then go from there. Until next time, guys, take it easy.